Morning guys, welcome to day 3 of the Hunger Games. I hope you're all holding up well. I've had conversations with quite a few of you individually. For those of you I haven't spoken to, I take it you're breezing through this quite easily. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about meditation, which was quite a tough part at the beginning of my journey. We on average have around 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. And this is very important because if we're having 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day and I say to you that's where your energy is going, that's not focusing your energy on anything strong enough to manifest anything with any great ease, because you're going to be manifesting 60 to 80,000 things quite weakly. Whereas if you was to focus, and when Bill Gates and Warren Buffett were asked the main thing that they used to create, they both wrote in separate rooms, not with each other, that focus was the most important thing. When we bring that attention and therefore that energy to one thing, that's a really, really strong focus. It's a strong creative energy, and it's easier for you to create. If I was to say to you, I take a magnifying glass and use one of these sunbeams coming through to set fire to this piece of paper here, this imaginary piece of paper here, and I'm doing this with a magnifying glass, I'm not going to set fire to fuck all, am I? There's not going to be any focus from that sunlight. Whereas if I hold that magnifying glass in one position on this piece of paper with the direct beam of the sunlight focused onto it, it's going to set fire and create what we wanted to create. This is very, very similar with your attention and therefore your energy and your creative energy. So bringing that 60 to 80,000 thoughts into one is the first step for meditation. For me, what I found, it was very difficult to come into that state of non-thinking. I know some of you watching this are sort of at a Buddha level of meditation, but I'd still encourage you to watch it because it's always good to see things from other perspectives, which can ultimately give you a different angle of looking at things and therefore a different reality that you might create from trying it. So today I need you guys to have something you can smell, whether this is rosemary, fresh cut grass. A pink rose is always good in times when we can get them, because it's very good at opening up your heart chakra. I need you to have a feather or some silk, or I've just found a little twig on the floor today. And that's pretty much all you're going to need, because for the other 3 senses we can utilize what we have in nature. Now we have 5 senses: touch, taste, sound, smell and sight. And we have a 6th sense as well. But in order to utilize this 6th sense properly, which is in the non-physical, we have to learn how to utilize these 5 senses properly. Now the way we're going to do this is by, I'm going to suggest doing the taste one first, because obviously we're not going to be tasting anything in the physical with what you guys are going through and the process you're going through at the moment. So I'd like you to all close your eyes, get into a comfortable position. I would always suggest crossing your legs and placing your fingertips together. This technically closes off the energy circuit of the body, keeps the energy flowing within yourself and shuts out some of the outside energies around you. While we're doing this, I want you to take a couple of deep breaths. And whilst keeping your eyes closed, I would like you to imagine that you have just taken a lemon and you are biting into that lemon and you're tasting that lemon. That lemon is filling your mouth up with saliva, and you can really feel the bitterness going through all the taste buds in your mouth. I want you to really tune into the vibrations, the frequencies and the energies of that lemon that you've just bitten into in the non-physical. Now it's said that everything we need is within us, and we can create realms or our senses from within us. And that's just a good little way of showing you how we can do this, because I'd imagine that 100% of you could taste or feel the bitterness of that lemon within your mouth and created saliva within your mouth. So this just shows you how powerful we are. And we're going to go through this process with various other of our senses. And this is how we manifest things. If you imagine when we close our eyes and we close off all of our 5 senses, it's like stepping into the white room that Neo goes into in the Matrix. It's the white room where he can pull up all the guns, he can pull up anything that he needs, the helicopters. When we go into our deep state meditation, that's where we are. And when we start to visualize the various things that we want, the circumstances, environment, and people, and ultimately the houses, cars, jobs, whatever it is that we want, the love, when we can picture that in this white room, this non-physical, that is creating it in the non-physical realm, which is the foundation of all creation. And then when we start to attach feelings and emotions, energy and motion to these, and match the vibration of them, that's when we start to bring them forth from the non-physical into the physical realm. But we'll leave that for another day. This is something that I do coach in, but it's not too much involved with the fasting we're going through. But it's just to give you an idea and to plant a seed for you to then go on to explore on these other things. So now I'm going to ask you to take your feather, your stick, your piece of silk, whatever it is you've chosen to utilize today, and for about a minute to, or 30 seconds to a minute, I just want you to run it over your body in any sensitive areas you have. Nothing too frisky, obviously. Just really tune into that vibration, that frequency, and that energy. Really feel it. And then I want you to put it down. After you put it down, I want you to place your fingers together again, close your eyes, take a deep breath. Now, keeping your eyes closed, I really want you to hone in on the feeling, the vibration, the frequency, and the energy that you just experienced. But I want you to do it while it's not happening. You should still be able to feel various bits of that feather, that silk, or that stick caressing and running over your body. Just feel the little tingles of it moving around. And don't worry if you find this hard. This is something that is like a muscle. It does get stronger over time. The more you practice this, the stronger that non-physical muscle will become. And that's another 30 seconds. So please do message me on how you're finding these. I'm really interested to see. It gives me an idea of what of your senses need more work on, and we can then go forth and practice other things to do with those senses. So the next sense we're going to go on to, now we've done taste and we've done touch, we're going to go on to smell. So I'd like you to just clear your breathways by taking a big deep breath through your nose, breathing out through your mouth. Now for this task I've chosen cut grass, and I'd like you to close your eyes, tune out of your hearing, and to take a big deep breath of the grass. Really tuning into all the energies, the vibrations and the frequencies of that grass, or whatever you have chosen. Almost like you're becoming one with it. So all of your attention, your energy and your focus is honed in on that grass. As I said, almost feel like you become one with the grass. Now I'd like you to place your fingers together, to close your eyes, take another deep breath. And wherever you are in your non-physical now, to imagine that smell, that vibration, that frequency, that energy coming through as you take in a deep breath in the non-physical. Again, becoming one with that smell. Now I'd like you all to be writing down as you're going through this process, which ones of these you're finding easiest. I'd imagine you're going to be finding the tasting the lemon one the easiest. That was the one that really come through for me. If you don't like lemons, maybe try it imagining tasting dark chocolate, but something that's got like quite a bitter taste that's going to activate the saliva glands within you. It's going to activate a little bit of bitterness, and it's going to create that feeling within. But as I said, write down these 5 senses: touch, taste, sound, smell and sight. and write down your strengths and your weaknesses, because obviously we want to improve those. So now we've done touch, we've done taste, and we've done smell. We're going to go on to sight and sound. Now for these ones, all we need to do is, I'd say, just be sitting out in nature, to take in a little bit of a look around your surroundings and find something that you'd really like to focus on. I have this tree in front of me. On the tree there is many leaves. I'm going to focus on one leaf on this tree. I'm going to really hone into that leaf. So my focus is going to be laser-like. Like I've got an infrared laser, and it's just going to be focusing on that leaf, and the rest of the landscape is going to become out of focus. So I'm going to be doing this for about 30 seconds. Again, placing your fingertips together and crossing your legs. And the next 30 seconds. So what I'm trying to really emphasize here is that when we utilize our narrow focus, this is how powerful our creative energy is. This is where you're going to start creating things. And the more you tune into these senses, the easier it is to then access that sixth sense and start creating in the non-physical and shifting that non-physical into the physical. So now with sight meditation, we are going to go from that narrow focus, and I'm going to open it up. And whereas I still am well aware of that leaf in the middle, my focus is now on the whole landscape. So I have various trees, house, cars, and birds, and lots of nature, clouds in the sky. So we're going to do 30 seconds of just really honing on that whole landscape. Wide focus. Again, placing your fingers together and trying to tune out of all the other senses. So there's no real focus on sound, there's no focus on touch, there's no focus on taste. It's just all being used right now on this wide landscape. Great. Now you guys can do this process for a lot longer than 30 seconds, but for the use of this video, I'm keeping it to 30 seconds so that you guys have the rest of the day to practice any of the other processes that I'm taking you through, and to utilize this one. It's more of an introduction to it. And next we're going to go on to sound meditation. This was one of the ones I found the hardest at first. It might be advisable, it's quite easy for me here. I have sounds of the birds singing. You can hear various different types of birds singing, and I have a main road behind me where I can hear a little bit of traffic as well. So if I'm going to go a sort of wide landscape on the hearing, I'm going to be taking all the sounds of the road, all the sounds of the birds, different birds singing, and picking up on everything, taking in that vibration, frequency and energy from all of these things. Whereas when I'm going to be going into narrow sound, I'm going to be tuning out what I don't want to hear, which is the road traffic, and really tuning into the sounds of nature. And what I would like you to understand that I'm trying to emphasize here is that you can choose what you listen to. If you choose to listen to the news, ultimately you're going to be creating a world of chaos at the moment. If you choose to get yourself out in nature and spend some time with some family or friends that you have around you that are uplifting, prosperous, healthy and bubbly, then that's the reality you're going to be creating. I do not watch any TV apart from what I choose to watch on Netflix or Amazon Prime, or anything that I feel guided towards watching that has a high vibration, and therefore that is reflected into my reality, as within so without. There's a saying in the Bible, clean the inside of the cup and the outside of the cup becomes clean. This is very much, if you work on your inner self, and you clean out your inner self, your thoughts, the words you speak, become very impeccable with your word. It's part of the 4 agreements, or the 5th agreement, as there's now a 5th one added, which is a shamanic book written by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's a very, very good book. The 5 agreements. One of the 5 agreements is become impeccable with your word. You should become impeccable with your thoughts as well, because thoughts are internal dialogue. A lot of computers run on 0s and 1s. We run on internal dialogue. And whatever we repeat to ourselves, internal dialogue, our cells in our body react to on a cellular level. If you tell yourself that you're not feeling well, or that you're going to catch something, then ultimately you will catch it. If you tell yourself that you're healthy all the time and you feel healthy and you put that emotion into feeling that, then ultimately you are very healthy all the time, because cells listen at a cellular level. So now I'm going to have 30 seconds. I'm going to place my fingertips together again, cross my legs. I'm going to take a deep breath, close my eyes. And I'm not going to hear any of that sound from the traffic behind me. I'm just literally going to tune into all the vibrations, frequencies and energies of the birds singing. So that was 30 seconds. Again, you can do this for longer if you like, just pause the video here. That was me really tuning into just the nature sounds and cutting out any of the road sounds. And in real life, if you're to do this and to cut out all of the media and to just focus your hearing on the things that you want to hear, ultimately, this sounds counterproductive at first, but trust me, when I stopped watching horror films, stopped watching crime dramas and things like that, and really started watching things with lots of traveling of the places I wanted to visit and the experiences I wanted to experience, all of these experiences and places I wanted to travel, all of a sudden started happening for me. So do please give it a try. Now I'm going to have 30 seconds and I'm going to take in the whole surrounding landscape I will hear the traffic in the background, but I'm also going to hear the birds at the same time, just to open myself up to this and to have a real energy sense of feel of my environment at the time. Obviously I don't spend too much time focusing on the things that I don't want to create, but it is good to have an awareness of what's around you. And as I said, we can get to a point where we can close down our energy centers and go into certain environments and places and conversations that we don't want, that necessarily we will want to manifest, because ultimately we can still spend time with people that are having conversations about, say, government and politics and religion and things like this, which generally when I first started this journey kind of made me do a little bit of that. I put up a little bit of a wall against it, and ultimately when I did that, I was creating a feeling inside of me and probably drawing more of that towards myself. Now when I go into situations when people are talking about money or religion or politics, I just observe and I don't emotionalize any of it, and it just passes through like a cloud, like I mentioned yesterday. And therefore I don't really get many of those circumstances popping up anymore, because I've stopped emotionalizing any of them. Now those situations don't really happen. It's a very, very good task to practice with anything that you want to try and fade out of your life. Just when it happens, don't emotionalize it. Don't get triggered by it, because getting triggered by something is showing that it has control over you. The second something triggers you and you react to it, you're going to draw more of that into your life. That's law of attraction. But if you just observe it and you take a deep breath and you let it pass, and then if you want to respond to it in a loving, caring sort of way, and don't put any attachment to it, then it just passes by, and less of those situations, circumstances and environments will come into your reality. So now I'm going to take 30 seconds to just absorb and hear everything around me. Placing the fingers together again, and deep breath. just feeling all those sounds floating through you. Becoming the observer or the passerby. And whilst doing this, obviously you have your eyes closed. You're not touching or feeling anything. You're not tasting anything. So whenever you're focused on one of the senses, the other four are closed down. And then you're on to the next one and the other four are closed down, and vice versa. Now once we've completed all five senses, that's when we really focus on the sixth sense. The sixth sense is, as I've talked about in videos before, it's kind of like when Neo in the Matrix goes into the white background room and he can bring in guns and those guns come to him. He can bring in a helicopter and the helicopter comes into him. He can upload a martial arts practice center and practice martial arts. This is what it's like when we meditate and go into our sixth sense. It is like a practice ground, or it's where we can build something in the non-physical and then anchor it into the physical. So for instance, something I'd like you guys to do, and this is what I do with a lot of my mentees, is if there's a house or a property that you're interested in, go onto Rightmove, find it, look at the pictures, set up a little thing where you know the front door is, where the kitchen is, where the bathroom is. And this is a good visualization technique. Close your eyes and picture yourself walking through the front door of that house. Walk into the toilet, turn the tap on, place your hand under the tap, feel the warmth of the water on your right hand. Turn the cold tap on, feel the coldness of the cold tap on your left hand. Take a walk throughout this house, through the kitchen, running your hands on the surfaces, smelling how this house smells, visualizing it, taking all the energies and the vibrations, putting some emotion, some energy into motion, into this visualization that you're having within your sixth sense in your meditation. I'm not going to go any further into manifestation or visualization, but when you can get down to that point of just being in that white room, just concentrating on maybe your breath and feeling your breath breathing through your nose and out through your nose, I find easiest. And then after you've got a certain rhythm and a pattern with that, it's almost like the breath disappears as well. Once the breath disappears, this is where I find you're at a state of oneness with everything. If you have a question or some guidance that you need, ask that question with your conscious mind and go into this meditative state. When you go into this meditative state, because you're at this level of oneness, it tends to be where I find you'll get some answers come through. You'll get some answers coming through from your intuition, your gut feeling, your inner knowing, your inner being, your internal sat-nav, your tom-tom. This is where we can get those answers from the questions we want. When we're faced with a question, I find if you initially don't get that gut feeling or that intuition, I tend not to make that decision from my monkey mind now. I tend to take a couple of deep breaths and go within and ask myself that question internally and come through the answer that way. Now this has been a very brief introduction on meditation. It's a way to get yourself into that point of oneness, of turning off all of your five senses and going within. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do message me today with any thoughts or feelings you've had towards this process. And I would like you to keep a diary of your strengths and your weaknesses throughout the process we've just gone through. This is your third day now. If you are utilizing these processes properly, listening to the Rejuvenation Affirmations, once you've listened to it a few times, by all means, you don't have to listen to it. You can just repeat this within your head. Internally, I always advise to listen to it and to repeat it within your head, because this is like a double planting the seed in your subconscious before you go to sleep. For me, it does help me to feel a little bit energized throughout the night and to wake up with more energy in the morning. With the breath work, I do suggest doing that in the morning, possibly 2 hours before you go to bed, and anytime you feel hungry or anytime you feel like you need a bit of an energy increase. If you would like any other types of breath work, please do feel free to message me and I can take you through some other guided breath works. If there's any questions on the meditations we've gone through today, again, just ping me a little message and we can jump on a call or a video call. I will try to make time for you as quickly as possible. I hope you're all enjoying this process, and I hope you're all starting to realise that there's a lot of limiting beliefs that may have been instilled at a young age from school, family, friends, which might not be serving your highest purpose and highest good. But as you're finding out, we can replace these beliefs like furniture in a house. Once you know how to, it's very, very easy. You can shift them really easily. All have a beautiful day. It's lovely to speak to you guys again. Namaste. I'll see you tomorrow.